Today, we are exposing yet another dark history that they have erased from all history books. Another horrible and dehumanizing act done to African slaves, all in the name of advancing medical knowledge, by then scientists and physicians. It is well known that the enslaved Africans went through hard labor, lots of arbitrary torture and exploitations. However, there were other forms of ill treatment these enslaved Africans underwent in the hands of their slave masters. These maltreatment were quite unimaginable, and the slave masters did everything possible to keep them away from the public, which is why it is hard to believe, and it wows one to know of them. These acts are evidences of how cruel, sadistic, and inhuman the slaveholders were to Africans. These not well-known atrocities were more peculiar to the enslaved women. This is because they were more vulnerable. I'm quite sure that so many people do not know how African enslaved women were used for experiments, or how their body parts were cut and used for anatomical studies, or even how many of them, including the children, were used for smallpox inoculations experiments. The nutrient table you enjoy today were all done at the expense of the enslaved Africans. These and many more are what we are going to expose in this video. But before we proceed with the video, please, if you haven't subscribed yet and you found value in this video, kindly hit that subscribe button. Give this video a thumbs up, share your opinion in the comments section below, and a big thank you to all our amazing subscribers. Please, don't forget to share this video with your friends and spread the love. Your support means the world to us. During the slave era, it was a common practice for doctors to use the enslaved women to conduct some gynecological experiments. In order to advance their knowledge in medicine, they conduct these experiments without regard to the health and consent of the slaves involved, for them to establish more theories in the field of gynecology. They would get a vulnerable enslaved woman and carry out some gynecological experiments, such as surgical operation on her. The worst part of it is that this is done totally without regard or her consent. A very popular name associated with this was one 19th century American physician, J. Sims. He was named the father of modern gynecology due to his contributions to the field. His works were carried out at the expense of the enslaved African women. It was revealed historically that Sims performed several experiments on multiple enslaved women over a long period of time, subjecting them to numerous surgeries and procedures just to achieve successful outcomes. Many of the women died out of complications, while some struggled to survive, but not without the pain, sufferings, and complications. One of the prominent findings he made from experimenting with the slaves is the techniques for repairing vesicovaginal fistula. This is a condition resulting from difficulty in childbirth, which leads to an uncontrollable leakage of urine in the patient. Sims conducted most of the surgeries and experiments without administering anesthetics to the patients, leading to severe pains and sufferings. This was because psychologically and out of racists' perspective, Sims believed that the blacks do not feel pains as the whites do. That was yet another form of dishumanism. Another aspect of scientific experiments the slaves were subjected to was smallpox inoculation. This is a process of deliberately infecting an uninfected person with a mild form of the smallpox virus to induce a controlled infection. This was done usually by taking a smallpox pustule and introducing it into a scratch or a small cut on the person's skin. Usually the slave would develop a mild case of smallpox, resulting milder illness compared to the natural infection with the disease. It happened that during the era of slavery, smallpox was very prevalent. Therefore, inoculating enslaved individuals helped scientists experiment how effective the method was in protecting individuals from the disease. Slave owners also believed that inoculation, their enslaved workers, would protect them against smallpox outbreak, thus strengthening their labor force and reducing potential economic losses. More horrible things done to the enslaved individuals was the use of their body parts in anatomical studies. Basically, the society frowned at openly using human parts for studies, but not when the body parts involved were that of an enslaved individual. The body parts of enslaved Africans were readily available for anatomical studies for medical schools and physicians on demand. It helped the physicians deepen and widen their knowledge of medical anatomy and improve medical practices. It even went as far as dissecting the bodies of dead enslaved Africans, those who died naturally or out of mistreatment, to study the anatomical differences between different races. This also helped the whites to establish more of the anatomical evidences of their racial superiority over the blacks, in order to ascertain the impact of different diets on the health of people. The enslaved individuals were subjected to yet another unethical and exploitative medical experiment. These experiments involved altering the diets of enslaved individuals in order to study their individual effects on their health. First, these experiments were done without their consent. Second, the enslaved individual used for the experiment stood the chance of suffering every consequence of lack of proper nutrition, both deficiencies and excessive nutrition. The usual problems encountered by the enslaved individuals used in the experiment were malnutrition due to deficiency of some nutrients or hypernutrition due to excess of a particular nutrient in the food. Either way, complications were always usual issues recorded. This has led to them having various sicknesses or even eventually death. Today, ethical guidelines and regulations for medical research are in place to protect the rights and well-being of research subjects. The history of experimental treatments on enslaved individuals serves as a reminder of the importance of upholding ethical standards and respecting the dignity and autonomy of all individuals in medical research and practice. Learning from these historical injustices can help shape a more compassionate and just approach to healthcare that values the lives and well-being of all individuals, regardless of their race or social status. Thank you for watching. I would like to take a moment to express our sincere gratitude for your continued support. Your view inspires us to create engaging content that we hope you find enjoyable and informative for new viewers. We kindly ask you to subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell icon to stay updated with our latest uploads. Your subscription allows us to reach a larger audience and bring you more quality content. Additionally, we encourage you to share our videos with your friends and family who might also find them interesting. Your recommendation means the world to us.